Hey guys, it's Chris, and welcome to Toned and Toneful, the self-actualization video podcast, episode number 46, When You Minimize, You Maximize, Part 2. First off, before we get into this week's episode, I just wanted to say that I am so happy to be returning to Toned and Toneful. Over the past couple of years, I've been through a lot of incredible changes in my life, and some of them required me to pay deep attention to those moments so I could bring back lessons and bring back a better Toned and Toneful. Toned and Toneful has always been about the community, so I'm really excited that we're all going to come back together slowly as these episodes start trickling out. I can't wait to spend more time with you guys. So let's dive in. More isn't more. A lot of times in the Western culture, it is easy for us to see that there is this hierarchy of those who are the busiest are the best. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. With being busy, you're put in the position to handle a lot of things that are not only distractions, but also problems. You've all heard the term more money, more problems, I'm pretty sure. And in that funny way, with the more responsibility, the more isn't always an actual more, not a good more. With looking at our lives and taking into account the things that we're doing every day, it is really important that we start minimizing the things that we want to do so we can maximize the output of the things that we want to see success in. Over the past couple of years, this has actually been a very big lesson to me because many times, myself included, I'm ingrained with this. I want to think that if I'm busy, I want to think that if I'm accomplishing more things by checking things off the checklist, that makes me more dutiful. That makes me more comprehensive to the people around me. But actually what I've noticed is I've been more absent. I've been more distracted. So when is more not more? And when is more more? And that's one of the really big things I've been contemplating over the past couple of years in the whole toned and toneful mindset. A lot of times I'd offered advice on journal taking, working out, spiritual growth, and all these things do require a portion of our time. But how do we make all of these things add into our musical growth so that we're growing musically and we're able to take these lessons and become the best songwriters, the best instrumentalists, or the best singers that we can be? Well, even if you want to look at it on a farther scale, the best artists that we can be. It is actually really to funnel and channel our focus into things more. So more is more when we focus more on less things. And in that way, the statement can be true. But if you just have a bigger checklist every day, that you journal, that you do a workout, that you drink 3 green juices, and right after that, you're going to listen to this podcast and you immediately go into, you can already see, I already got 5 things going on and I haven't even passed what some people's morning routines are. You've really got to be careful to make sure that the things that you're doing will count for you. And this always is a hard decision process because when you're thinking about what's going to work for you, it's hard to pull back just enough to actually see the results. When we pull back, we feel anxiety. And when we pull back, we notice that in those moments that we're less busy, we feel less productive. But we're not noticing that we're not taking that energy and channeling it into focusing. So when more isn't more is when you're able to just be busy for no reason. And when more becomes more is when you're able to take the few things that you want to focus on. Do you have 2 or 3 main goals that you really want to accomplish at the current time? You can make more focus for things, and it doesn't have to be forever. If you're looking for a better physique by summer, that might be something that you're paying attention to for a couple of months. Maybe 6 months. If you're looking for a healthy lifestyle where you're looking for a consistent weight and you're looking for consistent health, that could be a lifelong focus. And as you can see, we can trade in and out small and lifelong focuses when we need to. A small focus can be taken out after we're finished with that goal. And we're going to feel great when we see it finish. That's why it's good to not try to say, I want to be the most buff I've ever been, and then also look good for summer by being the most slim that I've ever been. They're paradoxical. And I see a lot of my friends doing this to themselves in music as well, where they could be wanting to be the best instrumentalist that they can, but on the other hand, they want to be the best songwriter that they can. Sometimes those things aren't exactly hand in hand. When we're writing songs, we're worried about thematic elements. We're worried about repetition. We're worried about storytelling. And when we're instrumentalists, it's a little more cold-hearted. It's a little more technical. We're looking for accuracy. We're looking for the best performances. We're looking for the best anything that we can put out as far as it comes to being an instrumentalist. And we've all been in both phases. All of us as musicians, as artists, have been in a technical phase and in a piece creating phase. When I say piece, I mean like a musical piece or an art piece. And this is where we can really funnel our energy. Are you really working on songwriting? Have you been listening to a lot of music so that you can draw from elements that you notice that bring you closer to music every time? Is it the way that the verse ends? Is it the way that a chorus begins? You've got to really start bringing those ideas into yourself so that those elements can become something that you know how to bring to the table for your music. Just as much as when you're listening to music and you hear a technical guitar player and you go, wow, listen to how the execution of that lick is. But are you able to turn the metronome on and focus on that for an hour? Or do you just want to play licks over backing tracks? It's two very different mindsets. And so when we minimize what we want to pay attention to, we can actually focus so much more on the single projects. We can actually get what we want done, finished. It is so much better to have something finished than to be checking off a checklist of a bunch of things that are leading us on a road to nowhere. Completion is better than editing and endless revisions. When we finish projects, we feel so much better. When we finish a goal, we feel so much better. And that really will come from the idea that you're focusing more on that project till it's done. Whether you're putting out a new song and making a schedule for its release, that might be actually something you need to do. I've actually had to do it recently for my song Breathe the Life. I had to put out a little release plan. And while that plan wasn't very complicated, and while that plan wasn't the most complex of all release plans that ever happened, I had a plan and I was able to put it together so I could execute putting the song out. And that is one of the things that previously in Toned and Toneful I had spoken on so much as I was recording music and I'm rewriting all these parts and I'm buying different guitars and I was going through so much revision that I actually really couldn't focus on the idea of completion. Revision is very important. Sometimes when we say something, it's not right. Sometimes when we do something, it's not right and we get feedback. Sometimes that feedback is somebody looking at us funny when we say something. Sometimes that feedback is another person who you work with in your team coming up and going, hey, I don't really know about what you just executed there. But what makes us really move forward in life is to make the mistake by doing the execution and completing it. None of us feel afraid to ask where a restroom is, even if it comes off weird. If you go to a restaurant and you have a weird interaction with the waiter, the goal is to find where the bathroom is. If you ask and the question doesn't come out right, or they're like, hey, what did you say? And you're like, I just want to know where the bathroom is. That's okay. And maybe that waiter could have gave you feedback and said, a really good way to say it would have been like this. And you know what? In the future, you can try to do that. But the main point is you got your goal accomplished. And in that same way, we need to approach life just like we approach our conversations and just like we approach communication. We need to be taking our ideas, we need to be taking our health, and we need to be making we need to execute. Maybe you don't know how to be a bodybuilder. Maybe you don't know how to have, you don't know how to be buff yet. But nothing is stopping you from doing 10 push-ups every day and trying that out. Maybe over time you realize the feedback to yourself is, hey, the push-ups are getting easy, but I'm not noticing as much growth as I want. I'm not noticing as much gains as I want. Well, what's to stop you from doing 20? What's to stop you from adding pull-ups to that workout? Nothing. It's the feedback that's going to help us focus more. But the focus initially to execute and get something done by having less things to do is one of the most powerful things. So you can actually notice the results and pull them together to a point where you can say, hey, I can see what's going on here. And for a lot of people, they're so busy and they're caught up in so many things that their mind's jumping from thing to thing. They don't really get that luxury of getting to notice, hey, these are the things that are not going exactly the way that I want. And these other things are going exactly the way I want. And that is why that more isn't always more. Because completion is really an important part of what you want to do. A lot of people want to see growth on so many different factors quickly, and it's troubling. They want to see themselves get more fit. They want to see themselves play guitar better. They want to see themselves gain more money, gain more followers on Instagram. Everyone's looking for the next up. But is that up even something that you really need yet? Do you know why you want that yet? Do you know what you would do with that if you had it? This is where less is more again. When you bring things into your life and you observe how they make you feel and you observe what they're actually doing for you, you can take these ideas and really finally flesh out what they're going to do in your life. For me, sometimes being a little more popular on social media or having more going on where there's more motion, so to speak, can be a little difficult. I love communicating with people. I'm a very graceful person. I'm full of grace. I want to offer that to everybody. And at times that can be incredibly hard for me because I end up in a lot of communications that can sometimes take up a lot of time. But one of the things that I've decided is to create this community and to put time into this community. So when I do that, I'm already sure of what it's going to do for me because I'm here to help. I am here to help actualization of the self for the people who listen to Toned and Toneful. This helps them create more passion in their life, happiness, and most certainly, I hope, health and music. Another thing to think of is that nothing is perfect. There's no perfect growth. The real great growth is slow growth. When we look at the rings in a tree and we look at really big trees, the seasons that they grow very little are very tightly woven patterns, very tightly, or each season that's on there. And that's a really good thing. When we take the time to truly do something right, like we were speaking earlier in this episode, I want to be that technical guitar player. I want to be that more in tune type of songwriter. It's not going to be easy to just crank out songs or just crank out technical parts. But if you take the slow growth pattern long enough, you'll notice that speed is part of being slow. Slow is fast. Because when we do something right and we don't have to go back and fix mistakes and redo things, we're actually moving forward constantly. I've seen a lot of people be able to take 10 steps forward to fall 4 steps back, to take 10 steps forward to fall 10 steps back, and you get the point. It's no different than when we think of the tortoise and the hare. The tortoise made a consistent effort while the hare was able to go really quick, but because the hare went really quick, the hare got a little more lazy during the race and the tortoise actually won. And this is why a lot of times you'll see a quote that I love and I see written in a lot of places. Someone with half your talent is beating you with 2 times the consistency. I don't remember who exactly said that, but that quote stands in my head because really the consistency and focusing on the things that we need to do is really how you minimize properly. And you can execute on the ideas that you're doing and really see the results of why something's working for you or why something isn't working for you. And this is incredibly important. If we can remember that having a very open mindset and having a really great adjustment towards why is this working for me? And having a real sliding scale, asking myself, hey, why is this working in this way and why is this not working in this way? We can actually start to make gains again. When I'm as busy as I can be, it's all about getting things off my checklist. And a lot of the times, the things that I cross off my checklist, I have to address again. Because I might have skipped a step in something, I might have rushed through something. And worst of all, I might have done something wrong that's been a waste of time for a long time, something that's been on the checklist for a long time. And so as we take a look at minimizing in our life, I can give thousands of examples. But what really makes this particular mindset special is how it applies to you. So when you're looking at your life right now, I would love it if you took a piece of paper out and you wrote down, what are 3 goals that you're trying to accomplish right now? Maybe 4. And if 2 are long-term and 2 are short-term, that's great. Remember that our short-term ones are able to switch out. We're able to make moves on those and go forward. But at the same time, we're also able to pull back, and we're also able to say, hey, these long-term ones, I can draw these out a little bit differently because I have time. Say you're in the process of songwriting and your goal is to have 3 songs written by the end of the year. I'm not saying you have to have a song written every month and a half or something like that if you divide the year up evenly. But maybe the goal is like there's a consistent effort of 1 hour a day to be recording parts to the song, making decisions on parts, and moving forward. Not revising the same verse 700 times because you just want to keep laying out different versions of the song. As a songwriter, one of the things that you're supposed to know is, what do I really like? Do I like it when songs have swing to the beat? Do I like it when the songs have a strong downbeat I needed to kind of rock out? Am I more of a floaty feeling kind of person? Is my song more ethereal? It doesn't really need a strong beat? Am I looking for something electronic based, piano based? Or am I looking to do something with all real instruments? These are things that you'll know about yourself as a songwriter and as an artist when you're taking the time to develop these skills without being too all over the place. You might listen to a lot of categories of music, but you'll be able to lock those down. So when you're taking a look at your long-term 2, your 2 items, and you go, what can I do to make those 2 things a consistent part of my life? Might be health for you. And if it's health, what does health mean? Is it a healthy body? Are you looking for health in the sense of an aesthetic build for a while? Is that something you're working on? Are you in a weight loss journey and you're trying to really bring your weight down so then that way you can have a little more energy and you can have a little bit more digestional help with just everything, because as we are in and out of shape, you can feel the difference in your body. I've been there both sides. These are the things that really matter when we're looking at long-term ones. We want to choose things that really we can take a long time on, and we can make minor adjustments. Maybe what starts off as a weight loss journey turns a little bit into aesthetics and then turns into, maybe a nutrient kind of healthy where you're going, hey, I want to get all my micronutrients every day and I want to work on getting my macronutrients right. What does that mean for me? What does it mean for me to be X amount of pounds and have this much amount of protein? Right? Just as well as now you can take a look on the opposite side and go, what are my short-term goals? What are some of the things that I'm trying to do as I work into my short-term goals into my life? How are these things interchangeable with goals I might have later in the year? Maybe your short-term goal is, hey, I'm putting out a single and I need to come out with a marketing plan for that song. That's not something you're going to do forever. You're going to create a release plan and you're going to execute on that. And as it goes through its process, you're going to be able to see what did and didn't work for you so that you can make something count for you. You don't want that song just to be something you put a lot of time into, put money into different parts being done, and now we don't have even a way to make sure that it's displayed the way you want or brought to people the way that you would love to see. So this is why minimizing is really important, because you could have the goal to put out a song, also be the work out all the time, and then have a goal to travel the world, and then have a goal, and then all these don't start lining up. It starts taking too much money, starts taking too much time, and now your efforts are kind of all scattered. Maybe your short-term plan is something you want to save up for. It could be a vacation. You could say, hey, for 6 months, I want to save $200 a month, so then that way I have $1,200 for this this road trip I'm going to do, and I'll have money for gas, and I'll have money to have fun and have food and things. Maybe that's your goal. So it's not forever, but you have to figure out how you can make these things doable for yourself. So I would love it if you took 2 items that were long-term and 2 items that were short-term and write them down and actually figure out how to integrate that into your day. Our days are not forever. As I get older each day, I kind of recognize the value of each moment that we have, and how life and how what we're doing is our most powerful tool. So as you look at your 2 long-term goals that you want to work on and your 2 short-term goals that you want to work on, and how you integrate them in your life, think about how those short-term ones fill in and out. Think about how maybe your long-term ones will evolve, and maybe what you see completion as in that. So that maybe another long-term mission comes in. For me, a long time ago, it was a lot about gear. I'd be collecting a lot of gear to make my songs. But I'm so happy to say that now I'm an Anderson endorsed artist, and I play Anderson guitars, and my White Angel is my favorite guitar. And then I also have a PRS that I use all the time. And those are the 2 guitars that I personally use, and they make me happy, and I don't need more guitars. Should I get another guitar? Should I get another thing? It is to fulfill a certain spot of maybe joy for myself, and fulfill maybe a certain very specific sound that maybe I'm looking for. But at this current time, gathering gear is not part of my goals. For right now, for me, that is moved on to watches for me. And you can look at how these things evolve, because there's a certain point that which you meet the goal that you're aiming for. And that is why I want to see you guys minimize so you can maximize. I'd love to see more music out from you guys. And some of the people from the Toned and Toneful followers, I've seen a lot of music coming out from y'all, and it's been good. And I've worked with some of you guys. John, shout out to you at Lynn Blue. We were able to, make goals and finish things in certain amounts of time. And I watch you guys do that. And I would love nothing more than for more people to be able to do that for themselves, because the culture that we live in Western culture, and Western culture is pervasive throughout the world now, is that hustle, hustle, hustle. And that is not always the answer to creating good health for ourselves and creating good results for the things that we're trying to work on. We look at them as just like crossing things off a list and just throwing them behind us, or we're trying to be efficient and how can I AI this? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with AI, but really, if we're artists, we should be doing these things ourselves. We should be looking for other artists to collaborate with to do the art for our covers. We should be taking the time to utilize what's left in humanism to put that forward for our audiences. And I really actually think that that should be done in every place in life. There's just so much more space for humanism versus just efficient push through. And I get it. Everyone wants to feel efficient. I get it. Everybody wants to feel like they're done with something. But I think the most special thing that we can bring to this world is our human essence, and bring that in a formulated package. That package could be our body. That package could be the music created, the art piece that's on the wall, like this one behind me. I love it. It could be a physical thing like a piece of jewelry. It could be something that you've been working on, like a necklace for somebody, your friends. Maybe you carve wood and you make dressers. It doesn't matter. All these items in the world that are physical and that are held and that are given are actually incredibly special. There's a piece of us and there's a piece of the physical world in it. And I would love nothing more than to see all of us focus a little more on the projects that we need to do, so that I can see results from all of us. Because that's what this world is about. It's about us bringing our best to it and leaving something behind that is just special for those who come in the future and for those presently to enjoy with us. So as you guys take the time to make your list and see how these things phase in and out of your life, maybe look at portions of your life where you were productive and ask yourself, was that what I wanted? And look at portions of your life where maybe you had a little more time and you took your time on things and maybe you felt you did really good or really bad. Ask yourself why you might have felt that way at those times about those things. But the most important thing that I can put off right now is for you to self-actualize. And that's going to be a part of every Toned and Toneful now, is there's always going to be a component for you to work on yourself as we're looking at these stories and we're looking at these ideas. we can take a moment to see inside of ourselves and go, what things can I be doing that could be elevating myself, or could be elevating my mindset or approach to my life, so we can be getting the most out of it. After all this time, I just want to say that I've missed you guys, and that it's been very important for me to come back with this Toned and Toneful. This is once again episode 46, When You Minimize, You Maximize, part 2. I really appreciate you guys for always hanging in there and always communicating with me. Please leave any comments in the bottom. And if you guys have anything else you're curious about, I'm nothing more than a message away. And above all else, stay toned and toneful.